Good afternoon and welcome to St James's Park for Newcastle United against Arsenal. 5 games without a win for Newcastle, pressure on Eddie Howe. For Arsenal, well, despite the two players that went off injured, Gabriel and Jurriën Timber, they are both in the lineup tonight. Finally, some injury relief for Mikel Arteta. Newcastle are making 2 changes from the defeat to Chelsea in the league. They avenged that in the League Cup during the week. Sean Longstaff and Joe Willock step in for Sandro Tonali and Miguel Almiron. And Arsenal just making the one change. They welcome back William Saliba after suspension, and Ben White steps aside onto the substitutes bench for Arsenal. So we'll just take a look at the two starting lineups. With me in the commentary booth today is Ethan Gardner. You're going to hear his thoughts very, very shortly as well. So starting with Newcastle, as I said, 5 games without a win. Nick Pope in goal, Lewis Hall, Dan Burn, Fabian Schär, and Tino Livramento. In midfield is Joe Willock, Bruno Guimaraes, Sean Longstaff, Joe Linton, Alexander Isak, and Anthony Gordon leading the line. For Arsenal, well, they flip into a 4-4-2 formation today, and they line up with David Raya in goal, Jurriën Timber, Gabriel, William Saliba, Thomas Partey, Gabriel Martinelli, Declan Rice, Mikel Moreno, Bukayo Saka, and Leandro Trossard and Kai Havertz are the two up front. For the substitutes bench for Newcastle, well, very rich in midfield. Martin Dubravka, the goalkeeper, Emil Kraft, Lloyd Kelly, Alex Murphy, Sandro Tonali, Harvey Barnes, Miguel Almiron, Lewis Miley, and the Danish striker signed from Sheffield United, William Osulu. He has yet to get off the mark this season. For Arsenal, Neto is a substitute goalkeeper, Ben White, Jakob Kivior, Alexander Zinchenko, Jorginho, Miles Lewis Skelly. Ethan Nwaneri must still wait for his opportunity, despite his excellent performance in midweek. Gabriel Jesus and Raheem Sterling. We're just going to take a standoff for a moment here, and as this is the last home game before the the November 11th Remembrance Date. So we are just going to take a minute's silence here now while we go through this very, very important remembrance service. I'm sorry, I appear to have been muted. The game is underway, so it's just kicked off. You've not missed anything. And here is Jurien Timmer now for Arsenal. Gives the ball to Mikel Morena. Morena lifts the ball over the top, and it's flicked into the penalty area there by Timmer. It's on the edge of the area now to Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey just down the left hand side to Bukayo Saka. Saka cuts inside, gives the ball to Declan Rice, and Declan Rice plays the ball to Thomas Partey, and just hooked away there by Joel Linton, and he finds Bruno Guimaraes about just outside of his own penalty area. Gives it back to Joel Linton on the edge of his own penalty area. And Ethan, 5 wins without a win for Newcastle. Do you see pressure piling on Eddie Howe right now? This is not the game he would have liked to have faced in that situation, I suppose.
No, it's not a particularly easy fixture, and of course Eddie Howe, at one point was riding incredibly high, linked with the England job, but wasn't eventually interviewed with it. Newcastle going through a tough spell. He'll be looking to turn things around, but I think they've got a decent chance today. Of course, it's not an easy place to travel from an Arsenal perspective, so it's going to be an interesting one for Eddie Howe today.
Right, well, shot from Leandro Trossard is well wide. Want to thank you very much for joining us today. Midday kickoff at St James's Park, and as usual, which is to be expected by now, St James's Park is full with a crowd that usually do make a lot of noise. But it is, as Ethan said, a very tough game for Newcastle today. Here's Lewis Hall. He just clears the ball towards the halfway line and helped over the halfway line that time by Sean Longstaff, but it goes all the way through to the goalkeeper, David Raya. David Raya clears the ball long downfield. It goes over everybody's head. And Bukayo Saka trying to bring that ball under control, but the referee has seen an infraction there and is going to give a free kick to Newcastle. And there's Harvey Barnes on the bench. Well, for Newcastle, they do have a one saving grace. They, of course, beat Chelsea in the League Cup during the week. So this is a chance for them to build on that confidence that they picked up in midweek. The league definitely hasn't been favourable to them. They're down in 12th place at the moment, but the victory in the League Cup over Chelsea in the midweek might be the kickstart that they need for their season. And here's Livramento, plays the ball forward, just dropped back by Isak, and the ball is given away there to the number 12 there for Arsenal, which is Jurien Timmer, and Timmer is just dispossessed there by Dan Burn, but it only falls as far as Gabriel, and Gabriel drops the ball back into his own half to Saliba. He gives the ball to Declan Rice, and Saliba drops the ball again back to David Raya in the Arsenal goal. It's cleared right-footed downfield. And the head is won by Dan Burn. And he manages to drop it at the feet of Joel Linton. And he lays it back to Lewis Hall, who sends it back to the goalkeeper. And here's Dan Burn now. Lewis Hall. Good ball there to Guimaraes. Guimaraes just plays the ball forward towards the halfway line. One-touch football between Joel Linton and Longstaff. And now here is Alexander Isak. Plays the ball through to Guimaraes. Tries to get the cross in. But that is a good piece of defending by Gabriel, and Arsenal will be very glad to have him back, Ethan.
Yeah, there was a moment of worry, of course, when he went off injured in that Liverpool game last week, but Mikel Arteta will be greatly relieved to have this centre-back partnership back together of Gabriel and Saliba, and it's a good, solid block from the cross there, doesn't let anything past, no chance for Newcastle.
Well, they've got a corner, though. It's on the left-hand side. We've had 4 minutes gone here. It's 0-0. I want to thank you very much again for taking time out of your day to join us here on the Commentary Hub for this important game. Anthony Gordon swings it in. It's headed out by Kai Havertz. The head is won again, though, this time by Hall. And it's back to Anthony Gordon, but he is dispossessed well. And he gives the ball there to Thomas Partey, and Thomas Partey is body checked. And it's going to be a free kick to the Arsenal. And that was actually Bukayo Saka there that got body checked, rather. And it's going to be a free kick to the Arsenal, as Mikel Arteta knows he's got to try to keep winning, but this injury crisis, he's still waiting for Martin Odegaard to come back. Such a big loss for Arsenal, Ethan. I mean, how big of an effect is the loss of Martin Odegaard in that midfield?
Yeah, it's obviously massive. He's a huge creative force for Arsenal. He's a leader as well, and he's a man that can make moments for Arsenal to get results. So it's a difficult thing to lose that kind of player and creativity in the midfield. So I'm sure Mikel will be looking forward to welcoming him back after the injury.
Well, it's a free kick taken by David Raya, played forward. It's headed on. That's a good header won by Dan Burns, but drops back to Kai Havertz, to Mikel Morena, whose shot is an ambitious one, and it goes way, way wide. And a goal kick for Nick Pope, and he's gonna just take his time with this one. Mikel Morena's really settled into that spot in midfield, while Odegaard has been absent. Ethan.
Yeah, Marino's done really well. Of course, netted his first goal for the club last weekend. He's managed to sort of not fill the gap completely because you're never going to replace Odegaard in this team, but he brings both defensive solidity and a little bit of creativity in attack, and links up well with Rice in the midfield. He's been a good addition for Arsenal so far.
That's right. And here's Joe Linton, just drops the ball back to Bruno Guimaraes. Guimaraes on the halfway line to Longstaff. Longstaff plays the ball forward there, and that's really a good attempted pass by Joe Willock, but it was intercepted. They had the right idea, and then just trying to set Moreno away on his way, and it's a free kick for a foul by Sean Longstaff. As you see here, just trying to turn free kick there for you, Ethan. It looked like he went down a little easy there.
Yeah, I mean there is a little bit of contact. It's not the most though, but I guess Trossard's trying to buy a little bit of a moment to for Arsenal to relieve themselves from pressure and get out with this free kick. It's well won. I think the free kick is the way I'd phrase it. I don't think it's a particularly solid call.
Okay, well, here's Trossard now. Tries to play the ball through. It's blocked. And Tino Livramento just trying to take control of the situation. He only clears it as far as Moreno. And that is a good challenge there by Livramento, by Sean Longstaff there on the number 19, Leandro Trossard, because Trossard was away at that point as Newcastle, Livramento giving the ball away there. But good work by Sean Longstaff to stop Leandro Trossard in the wake there. But it is going to be a corner for Arsenal. And the corner will be taken on the far side. I suspect it might be Declan Rice. Indeed it is. It's Declan Rice taking it on that left-hand side. And Saliba, Havertz, Partey and Martinelli all in there looking to create havoc. Arsenal scored a few goals from corners this season. It swung in towards the back post. Pope claws it out there. Goodness me, that was from right under the crossbar. Here's Gabriel, and it's a free kick for a foul on Bruno Guimaraes by Gabriel. But that was a wicked corner by Declan Rice, Ethan.
Yeah, my, that was a spectacular effort. I don't think he was meaning for it to go on target, just whip it into a danger area. But Nick Pope does well because that was going directly into the goal. And just an interesting warning sign. Arsenal, of course, the top scorers from set pieces this season, if you exclude penalties. So that's going to be a key area today.
Yeah, certainly Gabriel has picked up his fair share of these headers from inside the penalty area. Nobody really picked him out in either of these situations, and he continues to be a threat in those areas. But here is Timmer. Timmer plays the ball forward now, and it's out onto the left-hand side via Moreno. Moreno gets the ball back off Martinelli. Moreno, midway inside the Newcastle half of the field, gives the ball to Declan Rice. Declan Rice to Partey. Good ball by Partey to Bukayo Saka down the right wing. They're doubling up on Bukayo Saka at the moment. Drops it back to Thomas Partey. Partey plays the ball through again to Bukayo Saka, who tries to turn inside Lewis Hall, but that is really good defending by the young man, who just takes the ball away from Saka and puts it out of play for a throw into Arsenal. But that's right by the corner flag. And Arsenal continue to pile the pressure early on at St James's Park. Really what you might expect in terms of an on-paper conflict. You might expect Arsenal to try to dominate the game early, but Newcastle very good at home as well. And as Ethan said earlier, it's not going to be an easy game at all, this for Arsenal. And here's Bukayo Saka, drops the ball back to Saliba. Here's Gabriel, just outside the centre circle, drops the ball back there to Saliba, who's going to go all the way back to David Raya. And Ethan, what do you make of this start for Arsenal. They seem to be just here. We'll just pick the ball up here as well, as it's Jurien Timmer in an advanced position. Gives the ball to Bukayo Saka. Saka cuts inside, gets a shot away, but it's just wide. He went for the front post of Nick Pope, and Nick Pope just watched it go wide. So, Ethan, what do you think of Arsenal's start so far? They've looked in control early on. They've pressed Newcastle back. Just your thoughts on the start, and also how do you think Newcastle respond to this?
Yeah, it's been a very positive start from Arsenal. Remembering they're the away side here at a difficult stadium in St James's Park, they've been the side in control. You wouldn't say Newcastle have really been a threat. Arsenal have had possession, they've created chances, they've forced an early save from Pope. So it's been a good start for them. As for how Newcastle respond, it's a difficult one, really, to pick holes in this Arsenal team. But you think Anthony Gordon could be an area of threat, Alexander Isak, if they can get them on the ball more in advanced areas and running at the defence, that might cause some problems.
Well, it's picked up by Anthony Gordon, and he drops the ball back into his own half of the field, and just played across to Dan Burn there by Fabian Schär. It goes back to Schär again. He's just inside his own half of the field. Fabian Schär goes for the long ball and he's looking for Joel Linton. It's picked up though by Anthony Isak, gives it to Longstaff and along to Gordon. Gordon swings across in. There's Isak! And it's 1-0 to Newcastle United. And against the run of play, we were just talking about it, and this is how Newcastle respond with a goal from Alexander Isak with a header, and Arsenal's defence there. Well, Ethan, Arsenal's defence leaving a little bit to be desired there.
Yeah, Alexander Isak given a lot of space in the box for a man that's that dangerous up front, but you've also got to give massive credit to the attack from Newcastle. It wasn't really going anywhere until the ball came out to Gordon, but Gordon's ball in is absolutely delicious. He's whipped it towards Isak, and it's a great header past Raya. So a little bit of, little bit of lackluster defence in leaving the man free, but Newcastle as well, that's a well-crafted goal. And as you say, a little bit against the run of play, but we said what they'd have to do to get back at this Arsenal team is get the ball towards the likes of Gordon and Isak, and they've linked up for this opening goal.
Yes, so as you say, it was a wicked ball in there by Anthony Gordon, and Isak's header is superb. And I know Arsenal have had their eye on Alexander Isak as well as potentially as a potential future signing, and he's shown them the reason why there. What a thumping header. David Raya, no chance really. And despite being under pressure early on, it is Newcastle that take the 1-goal lead. Alexander Isak with the goal on 12 minutes, and Arsenal now are the team that has to respond. And a foul on Bukayo Saka that time, and it's going to be a free kick to Arsenal. And it is Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0. Goal by Alexander Isak, a thumping strike, as he now has some defensive duties to do. Anthony Gordon is having a word with the referee for that challenge. Wasn't a particularly bad challenge, just a warning from the referee. High line by Newcastle on the edge of the 18-yard box. Free kick on the right-hand side, a couple of yards. Oh, excuse me, I apologise. A couple of yards in from the touchline. Just from the right-hand side, it's going to be Declan Rice that's going to take that. Anthony Gordon going to swing this one in. And cleared away. That was swung in there by Sean Longstaff. It was cleared away by Anthony Gordon, and it's now with William Saliba. Saliba just drops the ball back to David Raya. Raya gives the ball to Martinelli. Martinelli, long ball over the top. That's a good piece of defending by Dan Burn there. Just heads that down for his central defensive partner, Fabian Schär. And he gives the ball to Guimaraes, who's wearing the captain's armband for Newcastle today. Guimaraes holds the ball up. And the ball is back now from Lewis Hall to Dan Burn. Dan Burn clears the ball long forward over the halfway line. And it's with William Saliba. Just drops the ball to Gabriel. Gabriel pulls the ball back to the goalkeeper, David Raya. Arsenal just looking at an interesting statistic, the points dropped from winning positions this season. Newcastle have not dropped any points from a winning position this season. So normally the first goal, that's enough to give them the victory. And a challenge there on William Saliba by Joe Linton, and it's going to be a free kick. So that's interesting statistic, Ethan. The fact that they've not dropped any points from winning positions.
Yeah, it is definitely an interesting statistic to look at. I think defensively so far as well, for Arsenal's pressure, Newcastle haven't really looked like they're going to creak too much. They've not made mistakes. They've kind of held their men up. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how Arsenal break them down and try and stop that statistic from continuing today. But if there's any team in the Premier League that can do it, or at least one of a few teams in the Premier League that can do it, Arsenal are definitely up there.
All right. And it's a throw in to Arsenal, just down the right-hand side. And drop down back to Declan Rice. Declan Rice just gives the ball to Gabriel, to Jurrien Timmer. And Timmer just over the halfway line gives the ball to Gabriel Martinelli. Martinelli down the left-hand side now, plays the ball into Jurrien Timmer again. And he drops the ball back to the number 6, Gabriel. Gabriel holds the ball up. Back with Timmer now. Timmer's got 3 players around him. And he just sends the ball back to Gabriel as Arsenal just being pressed back a little bit now. Here's Saliba just back inside his own half. And Gabriel. Timmer just skips away from Anthony Gordon there. And he's just over the halfway line. Declan Rice now. And the ball is across there to Partey. Partey down the right-hand side to Saka. Saka just lays the ball off, and it's Thomas Partey again. Here's Kai Havertz now, midway inside the Newcastle half of the field. Timmer. It's just down the left-hand side. Gives the ball there to the number 11, Martinelli. Martinelli swings the ball in. Here's a chance for Hazard. Across to the back post, and a header there by Bukayo Saka. Just getting ahead of Lewis Hall, but he puts it wide. Opportunity, half chance there for Bukayo Saka, Ethan.
Yeah, he does well to get up and get his head to that one. He's arriving, he gets over Lewis Hall. It's a good cross from Havertz as well to just float one into the back post, but just couldn't quite get it on target. Bukayo Saka, it's just always going wide, but it's a great opportunity for Arsenal, a nicely worked opportunity as well, and perhaps you should be saying that one should be going on target.
Yes, it's just diverted wide, wasn't it? It's definitely a half chance for Bukayo Saka. A player of his quality, you might expect him to do a little bit better, but perhaps I'm being harsh. Here's Trossard, lays the ball off to Gabriel. Gabriel sets off Martinelli on his way down the left-hand side. He's got Livramento in front of him. Martinelli gets across in, and it's chested down really, really well and cleared out to play by Bruno Guimaraes. And Guimaraes is waving his arms in the air as it looks like a free kick has been given by way for Newcastle United, or is it a throw-in? It is, in fact, a throw-in. Tino Livramento. Just to mention today, just to give a shout out to everyone who's applying for the BBC's New Voices Sports Commentary. Best of luck to you all who are applying. I wish you all of the best. I am definitely not good enough to apply, so I will not be applying, but best of luck to everybody who is. Tino Livramento plays the ball forward just towards the halfway line, and it's played back towards the Newcastle half of the field and cleared away by Dan Burn, and hooked up into the air that time by Anthony Gordon. Finally, it's picked up by Gabriel. He clears the ball into the Newcastle half, and it's headed down by Fabian Schär. And here's Lewis Hall now for Newcastle. Under pressure from Bukayo Saka. He almost gave the ball away, but Guimaraes comes across and helps out. Just turns away from Bukayo Saka and drops the ball back to Dan Burn. He plays the ball to Hall. And here's Guimaraes. Just plays the ball forward to Longstaff. Longstaff now to Tino Livramento. He's got Anthony Gordon overlapping as Newcastle are on the break down the right-hand side. It's swung in by Gordon towards the back post. I think he was looking there for Joel Linton. It stays in play, but it hits the corner flag and somehow stays in play. I think everybody thought it had gone out for a moment. Joel Linton was the first to react. Here's Bruno Guimaraes. Guimaraes to Tino Livramento. Back to Guimaraes. Holds the ball up to Isak. A nice little ball there. And it's down the left-hand side to Joel Linton now. Corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Joel Linton swings the ball in, and it's headed out that time by Gabriel. And the ball is now with Anthony Gordon. Livramento. back to Gordon. And across there to the number 20, Lewis Hall. And it's now with Joel Linton again. Hall in the middle of the park. Back to Dan Burn. Across to Fabian Schär. Fabian Schär may go for the long ball back across to Joel Linton. It's a good ball in the end that finds the Brazilian. Joel Linton's got Bukayo Saka in front of him. Here's Willock, former Arsenal player, of course. Here's Guimaraes, 35 yards out. Guimaraes plays the ball to Sean Longstaff. Drops it back there to Anthony Gordon. Gordon has got men overlapping, including Tino Livramento. He gives the ball to Livramento. Livramento back to Guimaraes. He's now about 30 yards out. Guimaraes, is he going to have a shot? He does it. Oh, it takes a deflection off Joe Willock and through to the goalkeeper, David Raya. A little bit of sustained pressure there, Ethan, for Newcastle United.
Yeah, just holding on to possession, trying to pick a way through this Arsenal defence. I think an interesting pattern that's developing. It's not all the time, but when Jurrien Timber goes forward in that left-back position for Arsenal, he leaves so much space for Anthony Gordon in that right-wing position. And he's just having time to pick out the crosses that he wants to put into the box. They're really dangerous, and that's going to cause Arsenal some problems if they don't start, defending that in a more strong way.
Yeah, he does get into an advanced position, does Jurrien Timber, and that does leave some holes in the back for Arsenal. Probably resulted in that first goal as well. As here's Moreno now, trying to just skip away there from Fabian Schär. He goes down under the challenge by Schär, and the referee has awarded a free kick. Dan Burn not happy with that, but let's take a look at this again. Yeah, he catches the Spaniard, and that's going to be a free kick to Arsenal. It's going to be right on the touchline down the left-hand side. We've had 22 minutes gone here. It's almost level with the Newcastle penalty area. Declan Rice is going to swing this one in. Gabriel in there. Moreno in there. Havertz. And Newcastle have lined up almost like a skirmish line right in front there as well to try to prevent any players from getting behind them and into the 6-yard box. Let's see what Declan Rice does. He's probably going to go to the back post here. As it's swung in. Oh, it's a poor free kick. And Anthony Gordon does his job on the wall there. But that really was a very poor free kick by Declan Rice's standards, Ethan.
Yeah, I mean, usually he gets it past the wall. He's actually got a very good delivery on him, Declan Rice, but he's just aimed that straight at Anthony Gordon. I'm not sure if that's all he could see in his view, but no, it's not a good free kick from Arsenal standards in their usual set-piece prowess. They've just been let down by that, and it gives Newcastle a chance to get out here and escape the pressure.
Tino Livramento plays the ball forward. Here's Guimaraes into the centre circle to Joe Willock. Good ball over the top by Willock. And here goes Anthony Gordon now. Corner of the penalty area, right-hand side. He gets into the penalty area, Gordon. Can he get the cross into the back post? Oh, it just misses Joel Linton. And it might have taken a deflection along the way. But goodness me, what a chance. That was nearly 2-0 Arsenal, Ethan. 2-0 Newcastle, I should say.
Again, it's that space down the right-hand side. Gordon's got so much time to just run at his man and pick across, and that's where he's in his element. And he's got Joel Linton and Isak lined up in the box to finish that one. And he's just unfortunate not to pick either of them out. It does take a deflection, I think, and has probably gone for a corner as a result. But, yeah, it's a real opportunity for Newcastle. Perhaps you you think that should be 2-0.
Yes, well, it certainly could have been because really Arsenal, despite all the possession that they've had, as you say, Newcastle have defended very, very well, and they're catching Arsenal on the break, especially down that left-hand side. And here is Anthony Gordon with the corner, swung in, headed up into the air by Morena. He's going to get a second bite at the cherry, and David Raya comes out and claims that. But just to go back to the point you made earlier, Ethan, this left, it is quite dangerous down the left-hand side. This is where down the right-hand side for Newcastle. This is where the chances are coming from for them. And I think Jurrien Timber is going to have to maybe step back a little bit. Here's Gabriel Martinelli to Trossard. Trossard across there to Thomas Partey. Partey lays it off for Bukayo Saka now. He's inside the penalty area. Bukayo Saka tries to get the cross in. It's actually blocked by Joe Willock. Comes back to Thomas Partey. And here is Declan Rice down the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka swings it in. Oh, and it's cleared away. Oh, that was a superb crossing by Bukayo Saka, but great work by Fabian Schär. Nobody gambling in the 6-yard box there, Ethan.
No, that's where you want people like Kai Havertz to be. You want them to gamble and try and get on the end of that. The only person waiting really for it is Mikel Merino, which is a surprise to me. And it's a good clearance by Fabian Schär. It's a difficult one to actually take in that scenario. You've seen so many own goals from that kind of cross, but he's managed to put it over his own bar. And it's still a dangerous ball from Bukayo Saka. You're probably disappointed with Arsenal's attack there because there's so many of them that should be taking a chance to try and finish that one off.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to go to goal. I've said that week in and week out. Go to goal and good things will happen. The corner, though, to be taken by Declan Rice down the left-hand side. And the referee just making sure that the ball is, in fact, on the line of the quadrant. Doesn't look like it to me, but that can sometimes be deceiving when you're looking at it from a monitor. It's swung in by Declan Rice towards the back post, and the header is on, and a chance. Oh, it's cleared off the line. And it's now back to Timmer, who's in there, and he tries to get a shot away. And it's blocked, and that was incredible. Here's Declan Rice again. Pulls the ball back to Trossard, and nipping in there and making a fine challenge was Anthony Gordon. But somehow that stayed out, Ethan.
Yeah, we'll probably get another look at it. I'm not too sure if that was a defensive block or just incredible reactions from Nick Pope, but somehow Arsenal haven't tucked that away. It's another set piece. It's another dangerous scenario. Newcastle can't clear when the ball comes back across. I think it's actually Saliba that gets the ball back across as well. So clearly that's a targeted routine, and it's a really, really good chance for them. But Newcastle do well to survive.
Well, we've had a comment in the comments section by Chris Unwin. Thank you for joining us, Chris. Let us know where you're watching from. Good day, everyone. Newcastle already leading against Arsenal, but I do think Arsenal will get back into the match. Well, they've certainly got that opportunity to do that. They're creating the chances, they're maintaining possession, but they're being caught on the break quite a little bit, are Arsenal. Bruno Guimaraes picks up the ball, challenged by Jurrien Timmer, but it's a free kick for the foul there. And Bruno Guimaraes, warning for Jurrien Timmer by our referee today, John Brooks. From the land of pork pies, Melton Mowbray. And he is, I would say, one of Britain's better officials. And he has got given the free kick here, which Lewis Hall is going to take. It's down the right-hand side. It's about 10 yards inside the Arsenal half of the field. So Arsenal have their line just outside the 18-yard box. And Lewis Hall is going to swing this one in. It's a long ball towards the corner of the penalty area. That is won that time by Thomas Partey. And the cross comes in and it's headed out really only as far as Mikel Merino, but he just holds the ball up. Mikel Merino now just trying to break away, and he runs it out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in, and that was actually Leandro Trossard there, and runs the ball out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in for Newcastle, and it's right on the halfway line. It's Tino Livramento, throws the ball down there to laid off by the goal scorer Alexander Isak to Longstaff, and the ball is now played out to Joe Willock and dropped back to Guimaraes. Guimaraes holds the ball up, he's dispossessed, and that's won there by Trossard. Flips the ball over there to Bukayo Saka, who tries to lift the ball forward, but it's hooked away that time by Fabian Schär. Bukayo Saka trying to win the ball back, and finally it's cleared up by Lewis Hall, who gets it back to Nick Pope, and he clears the ball outfield and out of play. Well, it's going to be a throw into Arsenal, about 10 yards inside the Newcastle half of the field down the right-hand side, and it's now back with Declan Rice, and he gives the ball to Saliba, back to Declan Rice, and across to Gabriel. Declan Rice. Still Arsenal trying to create chances, Ethan, and so far the door has been shut by Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle have held firm and resolutely in defence, really, and actually I think they're trying to slow this one down now. You've seen we had a frantic few minutes of chances at both ends for both teams, but since then it's really been slowed down by throw-ins and free kicks. I think Newcastle are quite happy just to hit on the counter and speed the game up when they need to, but generally take the sting out of this Arsenal attack.
Here's Martinelli. Just tries to get inside Livramento. That's a good challenge by the England international, and he puts the ball behind for a corner to Arsenal. As once again, Arsenal will have the chance to work their set piece routine play, and they're getting a vast number of players in the box here. Like there's Martinelli in there, Havertz, Moreno, Gabriel. You've got Partey and Saliba on the edge of the box, along with Leandro Trossard. Declan Rice going to swing this ball in now. And let's see if he can make a better delivery of it than the free kick earlier. Arsenal loading up that penalty area. Newcastle have 5 men right in front of Nick Pope, hoping to prevent them from coming in and grabbing a short header. Cross coming into the back post. It's headed on, but it goes out of play, and it's behind for a goal kick. That one went to the back post. It was just over Martinelli's head, Ethan. But once again, another set-piece routine play. Interesting having Newcastle having the 5 players across in the line just inside the 18-yard box.
Yeah, well, first things first, with the Arsenal corner, it kind of looked like they were trying to do a carbon copy of that chance they worked, which was cleared off the line. Just the delivery towards the back post, head it back across and try and open up an opportunity. But Newcastle could be wise to that. You said about the way they've set up defensively, and it's certainly meant that there's no sting, no bite in that particular Arsenal corner. So maybe it's just something they're a little bit wise to, they've seen before.
Quite possibly. And Joe Willock just trying to flick the ball away, but it's won back. And here's Saliba, gives the ball to Declan Rice, just outside his own penalty area. He's streaming forward now is Declan Rice. He gives the ball to Timmer. Timmer drops the ball now to Martinelli, just over the halfway line, trying to get away from Livramento. It's an interesting battle between these two. And Martinelli just trying to get the better of Livramento, but Livramento does very, very well and just turns the ball away from the Brazilian and knocks it out of play and wins the throw-in. And Martinelli cannot believe that the throw-in has been given to Newcastle, and he's going to get a warning here. He's not supposed to approach the official. That's the captain's job. So Bukayo Saka is now going over, and Bukayo Saka, the Arsenal captain, were in the absence of Martin Odegaard, and he's just told the captain to say, keep him quiet. Otherwise, he's going to go into the referee's notebook. But let's take a look at this again. This one did look like an Arsenal throw-in. I can understand Martinelli's frustration. Let's take a look at this again. And it might have come off Martinelli's knee, I suppose, but he was absolutely convinced it was an Arsenal throw-in.
Yeah, you can understand the frustration, but it's only really a throw-in. I'm not sure why there's so much need to protest with the referee this early on in the game. I mean, if he'd have picked up a caution, a yellow card in that scenario, it's a silly one, really. He's gotten away with it, of course, but I'm not sure what the need is to lobby so much with the referee there.
Yeah, I just feel that when times get desperate when you're behind in the Premier League, because I just feel that there's a psychological effect to going behind, especially away from home against a team that's not dropped any points from winning positions. So there's a sort of element of almost desperation sometimes. It can affect players psychologically, this sort of thing. And wild swing by Bruno Guimaraes there. Might have just hurt himself in doing so. But he's receiving treatment now. Just taking a look at some of the other games are going to be going on today in the Premier League. The 3 o'clock kickoffs are as follows. Bournemouth host Manchester City. The 2 promoted sides, Ipswich and Leicester, go head-to-head at Portman Road. Liverpool take on Brighton. Nottingham Forest, after their first home win against Crystal Palace, entertain West Ham. Southampton have Everton at St Mary's. And the late kickoff at Molineux, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Crystal Palace. So some interesting games there, Ethan.
Yeah, interesting games that affect both the top and the bottom of the table. I mean, Ipswich versus Leicester is a huge one in the relegation fight. Obviously, City and Liverpool both in action as well. So it's an interesting day of action all across the Premier League.
So finally, this free kick is going to be taken. Bruno Guimaraes is back on his feet now. He's going to have to wait to get back on. The free kick is taken. It's long down the right-hand side, but that is just Yurian Timmer just watches that ball go out of play and it's going to be a throw-in for Arsenal midway inside their own half of the field. And Jurrien Timmer just holds the ball up, and taking his time here. He decides to throw it long towards the halfway line. Flicked on by Kai Havertz, which eventually finds Leandro Trossard. Trossard sets off Thomas Partey on his way. And Thomas Partey now just turns inside from Lewis Hall, gives it back to Trossard. Trossard tried to play the ball through to Bukayo Saka. Well, it was the right idea, Ethan, but it was just too much weight on that pass.
Yeah, the execution just wasn't quite there. It's a good opportunity, really, to try and play in Saka. There's a gap in the defence that he could have run into. He was actually really in behind, but you just need the kind of crafted pass that maybe a Martin Odegaard would have brought you there, and it's unfortunate that it couldn't quite come off.
Yeah, they're absolutely missing Martin Odegaard. There's no question about it. I've taken a look at this Arsenal side now for the last few weeks without Martin Odegaard, and there is no question in my mind that they are missing him tremendously right now. Here's Kai Havertz over the halfway line, trying to cut away there, but he's fouled. Is he? The referee says no, and play goes on. It's back with Nick Pope, who releases the ball to Fabian Schär. Schär gets the ball forward. That's a disappointing pass, and he only finds Jurrien Timmer, who gives the ball now to Martin Odegaard. Now in front of Livramento again. He's marshalled Martinelli well, and once again makes another fine challenge, and the ball comes off Gabriel and goes behind for a goal kick. About this battle between Livramento and Martinelli, it's certainly been very interesting early on, and I have to say Livramento's got the better of it so far.
Yeah, I mean, from both fullbacks' perspectives, really, because when you're up against the wing combination of Martinelli and Saka, which is one of the most dangerous in the league, and you've got two really young fullbacks in Livramento and Hall, both stood up to the challenge really well. Livramento keeping pace with Martinelli. He's not getting confused by the footwork of the Brazilian either. He's ushering out and winning decisions. It's been a really strong performance.
That's a goal kick by Nick Pope. The head is won by Moreno. Moreno heads the ball down again, but it's picked up by Joe Linton, who launches the ball over the top, looking for Joe Willock. Out to meet it is David Raya, right at the edge of his own 18-yard box. And he'll now just take a step back. Is he going to go for the long ball, or are Arsenal going to build up from the back? David Raya rolls it out. They're going to build it from the back to the William Saliba, back from suspension, of course. Arsenal will be very grateful to have him back. Saliba plays the ball forward, and it's out of play, but it seems to have come off a Newcastle player, so it's going to be a throw into Arsenal. And just how big of an impact is William Saliba for Arsenal?
Yeah, they definitely missed him sort of in that Liverpool game last weekend. He's a calming presence. He always seems to win the ball and come out of it. He's good in the air as well. He's just a very, very good centre-back. One of the world's best, in my opinion. So he's key to this Arsenal team. And having him back in the side just really brings a little bit of solidity in defence. Obviously, we did mention that they weren't at their best for the Newcastle goal. But other than that, Newcastle haven't provided any threat. And you've got to put that down to the fact that the centre-back partnership of Saliba and Gabriel is just so solid.
Here's Isak now. Isak across to Joel Linton. Plays the ball into the box, but cleared away that time by Moreno. And just trying to hold the ball up there is Trossard, and he's fouled by Longstaff. It's going to be a free kick to Arsenal, and a first yellow card shown. And let's take a look at this one. Trossard trying to bring the ball down, and he's handled with no attempt to win the ball by Sean Longstaff. These days, we've seen that this season quite consistently, that a yellow card is going to be shown for that.
Yeah, it's definitely a yellow card. He's just pulled his man away from the ball, and that's clearly not a legal thing to do. And, the first yellow card of the game, but I'm sure Longstaff, walking on a tightrope now, is going to have a difficult job against the strong Arsenal midfield.
The ball is headed up into the air, and Guimaraes just brings the ball down, but it's picked up by Bukayo Saka, who's tripped, and it's another free kick for Arsenal, this time for a foul by Fabian Schär. And Fabian Schär has picked up a yellow card. And it's down there now. I just can't quite. Saka's just on his haunches, just getting up here. It was Joel Linton and Bruno Guimaraes that went in, sandwiched Kai Havertz, but I didn't really see much in that, if I'm being honest with you. There's the foul on Bukayo Saka. I'm not sure why Schär picked up the yellow card. That's a strange one.
Yeah, Trying to unpick that one myself. Maybe he said something to the referee. I'm not too sure, but out of the actual physical decision, I don't think it's an odd one.
Yeah, it is. It's a high line by Newcastle for this free kick. So it's about 40 yards out, the free kick itself, on the corner of the penalty area. So Newcastle have lined up outside the 18-yard box, and Arsenal just lining up 5 players behind that, or level with that Newcastle line, and including Moreno, Partey, Gabriel, and Havertz. Here is Rice to swing the ball in, and it's trying to go for the back of them again. It's picked up this time by Thomas Partey, drops the ball back to Martinelli. Partey again swings the ball into the back post, and he was looking for Gabriel there, but that's really good defending by Joel Linton, marshalling Gabriel really well there, Ethan.
Yeah, you could just sense that Gabriel was going to try and arrive and either put that one across or on target, and Joel Linton just does well to hold his man, make sure he can't get to the ball, and the back post is always one of the most dangerous areas, so you've got to marshal it well. He does an excellent job, and there's no chance in the end for Arsenal.
Yes, you can see how much this means to Newcastle as well, the players and the way that they're reacting when they defend every set piece. They're celebrating almost like it's a goal. They really, really want to break this 5-game winless streak, and they're certainly on their way to doing it right now. They're defending very, very well. They're looking good when they come forward, and I'd say they're deserving of their 1-goal lead so far.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a good job in terms of hitting on the counter-attack. With an Arsenal team that are going to want possession, Newcastle have played this one very well, and they're working their chances. They're defending incredibly solidly. We've mentioned already about the battles of the full-backs. Sure, they've picked up a couple of cards now, and they are starting to show a little bit of signs of pressure from this Arsenal attack, but they've not got long to hold out till half-time, and that's just going to reset the clock. So they've put in a really good performance.
Foul on Joe Willock by Thomas Partey. The free kick is taken quickly, but too quickly according to the referee. I think we're going to get this taken again. And it was in fact taken from the wrong position. Thomas Partey just asking the referee what's going on. But it appears as though the free kick was taken from the wrong position, and the free kick is going to be taken again, which is rather good from a Newcastle perspective because it wasn't a very good free kick. The foul by Partey on Joe Willock, and Arsenal will line up and get their defensive line set up. As Newcastle now, the free kick is level with the Arsenal penalty area down the left-hand side. It's about 3 yards in from the touchline, and it's going to be swung in. We'll just see who's over this one. It's Lewis Hall, but it's going to be taken there by Anthony Gordon. Not a good free kick. Cleared away there by Leandro Trossard, and that really wasn't the best free kick at all. He gets another bite at the cherry here. Does Anthony Gordon launches it in towards the penalty area. Here is Fabian Schär now, corner of the penalty area, right-hand side. Gives the ball through to Sean Longstaff, but cutting across and getting the ball out of play just about is Martinelli. And it come off a Newcastle player and goes out for a throw into Arsenal. But that free kick from Anthony Gordon's standards is pretty poor.
Yeah, one apiece now for both sides, I guess. Declan Rice himself obviously had a bad one as well, but Gordon again, you just can't. He didn't beat the first man, and in a scenario where it's a Premier League set piece, it's an important opportunity for you as the team that are playing on the counter attack. It's a really disappointing delivery, and that's one that they're going to look back on and think perhaps we should have done better.
Find a week's wages for that. Anthony Gordon just heads the ball down to Isak. Isak swings the ball over to Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall holds the ball up in midfield, goes a long ball across looking for Isak, but Timmer heads it up in the air only as far as Guimaraes, who heads the ball into the penalty area, but there is no Newcastle player waiting there. David Raya just comes out and calmly claims that, and he releases the ball now to Gabriel to Declan Rice, just outside his own penalty area. Declan Rice there, he's got Isak standing off him, gives the ball to Thomas Partey. Cross to Gabriel again, just puts his foot on the ball, plays it back there to Thomas Partey, back there to Gabriel, just inside his own half of the field. Arsenal patiently building up as we approach half-time. We're just waiting to find out how much stoppage time is being added on at the end of this first half. It is 3 minutes being added on, and the ball is played forward now. And in the penalty area is Martinelli. Martinelli tries to pull the ball across, but making the block there was Dan Burn. It comes back there to Martinelli now, under pressure from Gordon. He plays the ball back, Martinelli to Timmer. And here's Trossard, under pressure, plays the ball across there to Thomas Partey. Partey, Havertz, back to Partey, into the centre circle there to Gabriel. Back to Partey once more time, down to Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side. Arsenal just keeping possession now as they're playing down stoppage time in this first half. Here's Gabriel. He's got options left and right, and he decides to play it to Timmer. Timmer may just play the ball. Yes, indeed he does. Back to Partey, and now here is Gabriel Martinelli down the left-hand side. Swings it across towards the back post. Pope comes and just about gets the punch to it. And it was important that he made that connection. Here's Saka, and he lets that ball roll out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in for Arsenal. We're going to get, at half-time, we're going to get Ethan's overall assessment to the first half, and then we'll be taking a 15-minute break, and we'll be back for the start of the second half. Here's Gabriel Martinelli, and it's now with Jurrien Timmer. And Declan Rice down this left-hand side to Morena. Morena swings across him, but it's plucked out of the air by Nick Pope. As once again, the final ball for Arsenal just not quite there, Ethan.
Yeah, they're having controlled possession and just putting pressure on this Newcastle defence, but they can't quite unlock fully the defence. That last ball, like we say, and again, I don't want to keep bringing him up, but it's the kind of ball that Odegaard will be able to find, and it's just something that they're lacking. I don't know if it's going to come in the second half, but you hope from an Arsenal perspective that it does.
Well, the ball goes out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in. Lewis Hall just going to take his time, just clutching his shoulder. Might have received a knock there, as we are in the last minute of stoppage time at the end of this first half. And it's Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0 at St James's Park. And it's just headed down there to Thomas Partey. Partey just trying to play the ball forward. Somehow Newcastle keep it in play, did they? Or no, it's going to be a throw-in. And the throw-in is going to be taken quickly by Thomas Partey. Tries to go for the long one, but that was read really well by Lewis Hall. And here's Joel Linton. Joel Linton's dispossessed, is he? No. By Bukayo Saka, it's going to be a free kick. And we are ticking down towards the end of this first half. And it's been a first half of frustration for Arsenal in terms of the chances created. They've not really been able to create anything worthwhile of real note, only a corner that Nick Pope had to react quickly to. Aside from that, that's really been it for Arsenal from their perspective. Newcastle, of course, catching Arsenal cold with the beautiful header from Alexander Isak getting on the end of the cross from Anthony Gordon. And the ball is played forward, and that's it. That's half-time. And at the end of this first half at St James's Park, Newcastle go into the dressing room with a one-goal lead. The goal on 12 minutes from Alexander Isak is the difference. And Ethan, why don't you give us your first half assessment?
Yeah, it's been an interesting one, Paul. I think Arsenal have been, well, they'll be happy with the first half in general, apart from the fact that they were a goal down, because they've controlled possession. And, they haven't quite had that final ball. They haven't quite caused too many issues for this Newcastle backline, but nevertheless, they don't look like the away side in this one. So oddly enough, that's something to take comfort from. But from a Newcastle perspective, the defence has been incredibly solid. We've seen great performances from the likes of Livramento and Hall, and their counter-attacking work from the likes of Gordon and Isak and even Joel Linton at times has been absolutely spectacular. So they're doing this game a massive service. They're hoping to break that duck, of course, not winning in the last 5. So this will be a huge result if they can hold this one up in the second half. It's been a really interesting match so far, though.
Well, thank you very much, Ethan. Ethan will join us in the second half as well. We're going to take a break for now, though. We'll be back for the start of the second half. Join us then. Well, welcome back to the start of the second half. The Arsenal players already out on the pitch. The Newcastle players just making their way out. Ethan, as far as I can see, there's been no half-time changes. What do Arsenal have to do in the second half to try to get back into this game?
Well, I mean, it's something that we mentioned in the first half. It's just that last little connection in attack. I don't know if it's a particular run or a pass or something, but there's just something lacking, really. They're holding on to possession around the box, but they can't unpick this Newcastle defence closer in. So just something a little bit extra in attack. From a defensive and passing perspective, they've been excellent. And it's like I said in my roundup from the first half, really, you wouldn't guess they're the away side, but there's just something, just a little bit of quality in the attack needed and maybe taking more chances.
Having Ethan Nwanwi on the bench, his performance in midweek in the game against Preston, and it's been pointed out by a lot of Arsenal fans that they have real quality they feel in him. Is it worth bringing him on in this second half if things don't improve?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth rolling the dice. He put in a great performance against Preston, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do if they do bring him on. They have got options on the bench, both sides do really. So if you're looking to bring on some depth and try and find that little bit of quality, why not roll the dice and bring on someone like Nwaneri?
Well, the Arsenal about to get the second half underway. No changes from either side. They will be attacking the goal to our right as the ball is played all the way back to David Raya, and we're back underway at the start of this second half. It's played forward long, and Dan Burn just heads the ball on. It's flicked on here, and Declan Rice wins the ball. He hooks it back towards the Newcastle penalty area. Dan Burn just marshalling the headers around right now. Finally, Joe Willock brings the ball down and plays the ball down the right-hand side to Anthony Gordon, who's got Gabriel in front of him. Gordon plays through to Willock again, and a good save by David Raya, and a warning shot fired by Newcastle at the start of this second half, Ethan.
Yeah, it's that right-hand side again, space opening up in behind Timber, and in a scenario where Gordon's running at Gabriel, I mean, there's an infinite amount of possibilities there for the Newcastle attack. Willock makes that run inside, and the shot isn't the most powerful, but it's a warning shot, and we're up and underway.
Well, the one particular issue I would say with that is they are getting caught down that right-hand side so many times. Here is Anthony Gordon again, and he gets towards the byline, gets the cross in. Joe Willock going for the header. He's well marshalled there, that time by William Saliba. And here is Bukayo Saka now. Bukayo Saka goes down and is fouled there by Joel Linton, and Newcastle actually started off the second half definitely more livelier. Joel Linton there just fouling Bukayo Saka. No further action on this occasion taken by the referee. And Joel Linton, though, needs to be careful in those situations.
Yes, he does indeed. You don't want to pick up silly yellow cards in a match like this.
Here's Declan Rice. Declan Rice on the halfway line, drops the ball back to Saliba. As Saliba crosses the halfway line, he's got Bukayo Saka down the right. Plays it short to Thomas Partey. Partey inside the centre circle to Gabriel. Gabriel across to Jurrien Timmer, who is not having the best game today. He's struggling today. We know the quality that Timmer brings to this Arsenal lineup today. That right-hand side has definitely been exposed, which is the left for Arsenal. Here is Declan Rice, clears it long towards the corner of the penalty area to Bukayo Saka. Saka brings the ball down well and plays it back to Thomas Partey. Partey plays the ball back to Saka. Now, can Saka run to the byline here and get a cross in? They're doubling up on him. It's Joel Linton and Lewis Hall. Here's Bukayo Saka. Cuts inside. Is he fouled there? The referee says no. And that is a vital decision for Lewis Hall as it's cleared away by Fabian Schär. Only as far as Declan Rice, but another fine challenge by Dan Burn. Good work by the big Newcastle defender. Arsenal still have possession though. Here's Timmer, goes to the left-hand side to Martinelli. Martinelli back to Timmer, corner of the penalty area, left-hand side, swings the ball in, and it's just headed away that time by Livramento. Only as far as William Saliba, as Arsenal picking up the junk, but he's offside. And it's going to be a free kick. And well, again, Arsenal The move breaks down. But one thing I've noticed about Arsenal this season, Ethan, is they really are good at picking up the junk, the loose balls, and creating second and third opportunities. But I think the deliveries into the middle, either, in my opinion, the forwards aren't taking the gamble, or the deliveries just aren't there for Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, we saw an example of the forwards not taking a gamble in the first half, and there's just a little bit of maybe it's a communication issue really between those delivering the ball into the box and those that should be on the end of it. I mean, another thing, a lack of an orthodox striker. I mean, I know Kai Havertz plays there, but he's not the most natural in that position. So there's just something slightly missing. But as you say, they're good at picking up the second balls and keeping the pressure on. So, maybe they just continue with what they're doing and see if it works out.
All right. Well, here is Gabriel, midway inside his own half, gives the ball to Declan Rice. Declan Rice just inside his own half of the field. It's a good ball by Declan Rice. And that is to Mikel Morena and back to Rice. Now here's Gabriel. Gabriel holds the ball up, gives it back there to Timmer, and Arsenal now looking to create something. Mikel Morena actually on the halfway line. Gabriel, Partey just gives the ball there to William Saliba, back to Thomas Partey. Now Partey is just outside of the centre circle. He goes a long ball over there to Timmer. Timmer drops the ball back to Declan Rice. Partey. Rice again. And he just plays the ball there to Gabriel. Gabriel lifts the ball over the top looking for Martinelli. Timmer tries to win the header there. Timmer now has the ball. He's dispossessed by Livramento, but it breaks loose for Leandro Trossard, but his pass is not the best. Arsenal do win the ball back, and here's Martinelli pulled back to Leandro Trossard, but his first touch wasn't there, and the move breaks down for Arsenal again. They do win the corner, but once again, Ethan, this move really breaks down, and this time it's Leandro Trossard's first touch is a poor one, so it made it easy for Dan Burn to get across and put the ball behind.
Yeah, it's nicely worked. They do finally find the passes and the link up, but it's just a disappointing touch from Trossard, really. He's not been too on it today, and Burn comes across and covers it ultimately, but Trossard was already falling. I think the ball was gone, so it's just a disappointing end to what was a very promising little move.
Well, the corner's going to be taken by Declan Rice. Let's see if he can deliver a better one. Down the left-hand side. Arsenal crowd in the 6-yard box. The heads go up, and it seems to, I think that may, not sure who that came off. It might have been Joe Willock, but Bruno Guimaraes picks up the loose ball, clears the ball away, and here's Willock now, but he's dispossessed by Trossard. And Thomas Partey just picks up the ball and sends it all the way back to David Raya. Raya clears the ball long over the halfway line and headed out of play. No, it doesn't actually get out of play. Mikel Morena keeps it in, but that allows Joe Linton to pick up the ball and give the ball to Bruno Guimaraes. Here's Isak, the goal scorer. Isak trying to beats two players there and then plays the ball over to Anthony Gordon down the right-hand side with Livramento overlapping as Newcastle continue to exploit that right-hand side into the middle, and the cross tried to come in from Sean Longstaff, but defending very well there was Declan Rice. As once again, Newcastle now doubling up down that right-hand side, Ethan. I'll get your thoughts on that after this corner. And Byrne is in the box for this corner, along with Guimaraes and Longstaff. Joel Linton there too, joined by Fabian Schär. The corner is going to be taken by Anthony Gordon. He'll be looking to deliver a better one than the last one. Anthony Gordon has got Joe Willock short if he wants to play it short. And he's swung in by Gordon. The heads go up. It's William Saliba who heads it back to the edge of the area. And it's hooked away by Moreno. And Bukayo Saka trying to win that ball back. But that is a really good challenge. Nipping in and winning that ball, I think, was Dan Burn. And he goes down under the challenge. And I think it's going to be a free kick at this point. Let's just take a look here. First of all, Tino Livramento under pressure there. Yes, it's actually Sean Longstaff that was caught, but it is going to be a free kick to Newcastle. And it's going to be taken by, I think, Sean Longstaff as well as Sandro Tonali receiving some instructions. So, Ethan, as we were saying, they're doubling up down the right-hand side now, so they're really trying to exploit that situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one because there's not too many other holes in the Arsenal defence. So Newcastle have clearly identified this weakness. They're trying to really exploit it, and we'll see what comes of it. But really, that could actually help the Arsenal side because it really it highlights the problem. It means Arsenal might end up covering it more, and then that really chokes the Newcastle attack.
Well, we see Sandro Tonali, the Italian international, warming up on the bench, and Nick Pope just clears the ball downfield. It's won by Saliba, who heads it to Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey nearly showed too much of it there to Isak. Here's Partey again, just drops the ball back to Gabriel. Gabriel finds Jurrien Timmer just about, but Anthony Gordon come very close to winning that ball back. Here's Kai Havertz. Back to Gabriel. Declan Rice, just inside his own half of the field, plays the ball to Leandro Trossard. Trossard now coming forward, and he cuts inside away from Willock. And Trossard once again beats Willock. And Trossard trying to get his way to the byline. That's a wonderful challenge by Lewis Hall. Really good challenge there. And the referee has stopped play now for a foul by Trossard, but good piece of defending by Lewis Hall there.
Yeah, another bit of solid defence from one of the young fullbacks. They're doing really well on a day like today when you're up against one of the best wingers in the league in Bukayo Saka and attackers like Trossard. And he just solidly gets in there, manages to stop Trossard from getting anywhere with the ball. And, it's a really, really nice bit of defending.
That's going to be a free kick to Newcastle United as Mikel Arteta having a discussion with his assistants on the bench. To try to see what they can do to get Arsenal back into this game. I'm not sure with the limited options that they have available, just where the route is in terms of what's on the bench. There is Bukayo Saka, just wins the ball back and drops it back to the goalkeeper David Raya. Raya releases it to Declan Rice, and here's Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey holds the ball up and played forward there to Havertz. Havertz gives the ball away there to Lewis Hall very cheaply. And there is Joel Linton, Guimaraes, Fabian Schär. Guimaraes again tries to play the ball on, but looks like he was fouled as well there. So looking at what Arsenal and a yellow card for Mikel Morena for that challenge, it was a late one and yellow card justified. But just looking at what Arsenal have on the bench, Ethan, what do you think their best options are?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one because you're kind of looking at what midfielders you need for what specific jobs. But when you look at their bench, Jorginho potentially, but he's not really an attacking midfielder. And then you're starting to look at more sort of maybe Zinchenko could be deployed in that role, or you're looking at wingers. But the midfield options themselves aren't particularly strong. You've got more of an attacking threat on the Arsenal bench, but really the change in central midfield, because of the lack of depth and injuries at the moment, it's a difficult one to make. So maybe Mourinho just kind of has to fight through this and stay on the pitch.
Here's Martinelli now. He's been doubled upon by Livramento and Anthony Gordon and dispossessed. Dan Burn plays the ball forward there to Isak. Isak drops the ball back to Gordon and back to Livramento. Livramento back to Fabian Schär. Plays a dangerous ball forward there. And, that's well won by Joe Willock. It's given to Joe Linton now. And Willock might be away if he can get ahead of Saliba. Joe Willock now gets inside the penalty area, cuts inside, strikes a shot, but it's over the crossbar. And he's claiming it might have come off David Raya. The referee says no, it's a goal kick. But once again, Arsenal's defence melting really there. It was way too easy for Joe Willock to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. You're not sure how he manages to get through with that much space. Saliba does a good job of marshalling him, but really he just wins the ball in midfield. It's a quick pass and he's in. He runs pretty much the length, well, not the length of the pitch, but at least half of the pitch. And Arsenal's defence just, where was it in that scenario?
Well, here's Joe Linton now, and here's Lewis Hall, who's certainly been one of Newcastle's better defenders in this game. As Guimaraes drops the ball back to the halfway line to Fabian Schär, which reminds me, Ethan, you are incumbent of picking our man of the match today for the Commentary Hub, sponsored by Commentary Services. Right now, I don't envy that task. There's certainly plenty on that Newcastle lineup that are playing very, very well today. So you might have a bit of a Herculean task there. But here's Bukayo Saka over the halfway line. That's another good challenge, this time by Joe Willock. And he wins the ball back and now gives the ball to Guimaraes. Guimaraes over the halfway line, holds the ball up and just drops it back to Joel Linton, his countryman. Back to Dan Burn. Burn plays it across to Fabian Schär. Schär over the halfway line. Good ball over to Tino Livramento in an advanced position. Tino Livramento down the right-hand side. Martinelli and Timmer just trying to double up there. And Timmer just unable to keep the ball in play. And it's going to be a throw into Newcastle. They look really dangerous on the break, as we are going to see a double Arsenal substitution. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Ethan. Zinchenko is one of them that's coming on.
Yeah, and it's going to be, you look at the way in which he's going to be deployed, really, because Timmer's not had the best game at left back, so there could be an argument for him to be brought on there, but also Zinchenko, of course, with experience in attacking midfield, and that's also somewhere that Arsenal need to make a change, so it's going to be interesting to see where he impacts the match.
Well, the ball is played long, and it's headed out of play by Thomas Partey. And so we'll just see where these substitutes, if they're going to make them now. We're almost at the hour mark. Lewis Hall with the throw-in. So it's Zinchenko and it looks like Ethan Nwaneri. So we were talking about him with his performance in the midweek. Well, he's going to get an opportunity. The ball is played forward and David Raya comes down and clears the ball downfield. So Alexander Zinchenko and Ethan Nwaneri are coming on. I suspect one of them will be Jurrien Timmer. No, one of them is Martinelli and the other is Mikel Moreno. So Alexander Zinchenko is going to fit into midfield. And Mikel, the other one is Gabriel Martinelli. So that's an interesting one. Interesting switch there by the Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta there. What's your thoughts on that substitution?
Yeah, could it result in a change of formation for Arsenal? I mean, I'm not too certain on what positions Nwaneri can cover. Same with Zinchenko, really. But taking off a winger for those two doesn't really seem a natural change for me. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how Arsenal start to sort of form and line up in an attacking sense now.
Well, here's Joe Willock. Plays the ball forward, but it's picked up by William Saliba fairly easily. So Ethan Nwaneri, he may slip into the centre forward position and Havertz may drop back into midfield. That remains to be seen, because Havertz has basically been absent without leave in this game, and a yellow card is coming up for another tackle here. We're just trying to see who that's aimed at. It's at Joe Willock. Let's take a look at the challenge by Willock. It looks like it's on Nwaneri. Oh, that was reckless. Oh, that was reckless, Ethan.
Yeah, it's not the cleanest of tackles. In fact, he goes flying in. There's not a lot of control to that. I think he's potentially lucky, actually, to get away with the yellow card, because you could argue there's a bit of scissor action there, and not the welcome when Nwaneri would have wanted to come into this game to.
No, it's not. And Sandro Tonali now ready to come on for Newcastle as well. And Kai Havertz goes in on Nick Pope, but it's comfortable for the England international as we just take a look at this again. As once again, Havertz chasing this one. Nick Pope does really well to read this, and Nick Pope is a big, strong guy, and Kai Havertz is always going to come off second place there as he clatters with the England backup goalkeeper. As here now is Joe Willock. Willock plays the ball to Longstaff. Longstaff across to Livramento. Just inside the Arsenal half of the field. Back to Longstaff. Livramento. And it's played to Bruno Guimaraes inside the centre circle. Guimaraes goes forward. That's a good challenge. The referee says play on. Here's Alexander Isak now. He's about 30 yards out. Isak, good save by David Raya. Oh, it was worth the effort, and he worked the Arsenal goalkeeper there. And a foul finally on Jurrien Timmer, much to the displeasure of the Newcastle supporters. But, that was a super save by David Raya.
Yeah, he does well to get down to that and palm it away. It's a fierce shot from Isak. The ground was opening up in front of him, so you can't blame him for taking a shot. And Raya does well to see that one kept out.
Well, Arsenal coming forward now, and it's Declan Rice. Cuts into the penalty area. Declan Rice beats one, beats two. Oh, it just goes wide. Oh, Declan Rice cut inside, beat two players, got the shot away. It might have taken a deflection, but Pope was beaten all ends up there. If that was on target, it was 1-1, Ethan.
Yeah, it definitely takes a deflection for me. Rice claims it instantly, but that's something you're not used to seeing from the England midfielder. A little bit of fancy footwork to get between a gap between two players, and it wasn't far wide at all. That would have been a majestic equaliser if that had gone on target. So I think he definitely wants a corner for that one, but what a little effort from Declan Rice.
Yes, it's a wonderful cameo run, and it looks like Joe Willock is the one making way for Sandro Tonali. And it is another first change for Newcastle in this game. Sandro Tonali, of course, spent much of last season absent, and he is on the field now. Is the creative Italian midfielder, and it is a corner to Arsenal, as we discussed on the deflection. And you can see Kai Havertz just trying to organise Partey, Trossard, and company there, just looking to create some havoc in that Newcastle defence to see if they can get back in this game. The corner is from Bukayo Saka. It's swung in, and Pope having to swipe at it to clear it away. It was helped along the way by the substitute Tonali. Tonali heads at the ball again forward, trying to get it out away from any threat by Arsenal. And now it can be broken away now by Newcastle, as here's Anthony Gordon down the left-hand side this time. Gordon drops it back there to Tonali. Tonali beats three players, and he's brought down there, and that'll surely be a yellow card for Timmer. Indeed it is. It is a yellow card for Jurrien Timmer, and there can't be any doubt about it. It was so late. You can see it here. He just touches the ball away from Timmer, and that is a free kick, Ethan, and a booking.
Yeah, definitely. It's not been the best performance from Timmer today, has it? And that's just sort of compounding it. He's really late. He catches Tonali, and Tonali rightly goes down, wins a free kick. If you're Newcastle in that situation, even if there's less contact, you would want to win one there. So they've really been gifted this opportunity, and the bad day continues for Arsenal's defender.
Yes, here's Fabian Schär. Gets the cross in, plucked out of the air by David Raya, and he slips but keeps a hold of the ball. And, it's Arsenal really just in this second half. They just haven't created much. Ethan Nwaneri, of course, is on, and, of course, Alexander Zinchenko, in the hope that they can create something that might get them back into this game. But in my opinion, they've been second best in this second half. And here is Timmer, gives the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko drops the ball back to Gabriel. And Gabriel holds the ball on the halfway line. Back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko looking for options left and right. The movement just isn't out. It's a nice back heel to Declan Rice. Declan Rice has got Livramento in front of him. He tries to beat Livramento, but that's a good piece of defending by the England international. One England international to another there. That was a fine piece of defending by Livramento, who's played very well today.
Yeah, Livramento is definitely up there. A little bit of a spoiler alert with my contender for player of the match. He's been so wet, he's just pocketed Martinelli, hence why Martinelli's gone off. And there's been no real threat from that Arsenal side down the left-hand side. I mean, you could argue the same thing on the right as well. Saka's not been at his best against Hall, but Livramento's, he's getting forward as well, and that right-hand side is a threat for Newcastle. So it's been a great all-round performance.
Well, it's going to be a corner to corner to Arsenal. Declan Rice is going to take it. And he's going to swing this one in. Havertz, Saliba all there as well. It's swung in towards the back post. Oh, it comes to Trossard, and his cross back in is blocked, and it's finally cleared away. But Trossard there again found himself with a ball where, he just didn't seem fully in control of it, did he?
No, I mean, it's a difficult one in fairness because he's got a lot of bodies in front of him, and it's a difficult one in terms of do you go for goal or do you put it back across? And it's another one of those scenarios where Arsenal have aimed for the back post, and Trossard is just caught with bodies in front of him. I don't know if he could have maybe brought that down, bought more time, but, in the end, it's the wrong choice. It gets cleared by Newcastle, and it's another opportunity gone from Arsenal.
Well, the throw-in is going to be taken by Jurrien Timmer. And he throws it back to The number 2 there, William Saliba, as Thomas Partey picks up the ball now. Just stepped outside of the centre circle. Partey, he finds Bukayo Saka. Saka has got the number 12 there, Timmer, in front of him. He's switched from the left to the right here. And here's Bukayo Saka again. Timmer just drops the ball back to Partey. So I assume perhaps Arsenal may be using these two as wing backs. Zinchenko appears to now be on the left-hand side. Alexander Zinchenko, he gives the ball away to Sean Longstaff there. That's a really poor ball. Here's Longstaff. He plays the ball forward there to Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon steps inside. He's trying to get away. And the cross could come in here by Longstaff, but it's a good piece of defending by Gabriel and a vital challenge there, Ethan.
Yeah, vital challenge, because that ball would have come across the box with venom, and Gabriel does a good job to see that one out. I think Longstaff ends up staying down in the end. Maybe there's a little bit left on him, but it's a good bit of defending. Zinchenko as well, just to let the ball go past him is a little bit disappointing. I know he's just entered the fray, but it's a little bit of sharpness that he's missing, so Gabriel has to cover for that, and that just adds to the great job he's done in order to keep that one out. And Arsenal still under some pressure from this Newcastle side.
And it's a corner now to Newcastle. Livramento swings it in. It's headed out by Zinchenko, only as far as Gordon. Back to Livramento. Better cross this time. And the ball is bouncing around. And finally, Bukayo Saka just hacks that ball out of play. And with 20 minutes to go here, it's Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0 still. That goal on 12 minutes by Alexander Isak is the difference, as we're now seeing Ben White and Gabriel Jesus coming on for the Gunners. We're going to see that shortly, not quite yet, as Bruno Guimaraes is trying to figure himself out there, but he's given the ball away. And Kai Havertz coming forward. Is he fouled there, Havertz? Yes, it looks like he is. And a yellow card has been given to Sandro Tonali, the substitute, who's not been on that long.
No, and he's not really had all that much of an impact so far. He's delivered a few balls into the box, but he's already had his name taken into the book. And this one is starting to become a bit more physical. I don't know if the referee's just trying to assert control by giving out some yellow cards, but Tonali the latest to enter the book in this scenario.
Well, Jesus replaces Trossard, and Ben White replaces Timmer, as finally his misery is brought to an end. So the two substitutions are Timmer and Leandro Trossard go off, and on is Ben White and Gabriel Jesus. Let's see if the Brazilian can make a difference in this game. And the ball is with Nick Pope right now, and it looks like Nwaneri is moving into the number 9 role. And I think Jesus will take over on the left-hand side from Leandro Trossard. It's just kind of been one of those days, hasn't it, for Arsenal so far? So here's David Raya. Just drops the ball back there to William Saliba. Let's see what Saliba can create. Gives the ball there to the number 5, Thomas Partey. As Arsenal now coming forward. And Declan Rice across there to Jesus. Jesus trying to nip inside. No such luck. The two defenders deal with him very well there. Between Anthony Gordon and Dan Burn, and it's now back with Nick Pope. Nick Pope clears the ball, but he only manages to put it out of play, and it's a throw-in to Arsenal, level with the Newcastle 6-yard box. And here's Gabriel Jesus now, trying to get to the byline. The pass just gets intercepted there, that time by Lewis Hall, and finally goes through to Nick Pope. And it's scrappy play by Arsenal. In the second half, they've been they've been the second best by far, haven't they?
Yeah, they've just lost that sort of dominance in possession they had in the first half. They've not really got control on this one. Newcastle more than happy to just play the role of upsetters and hold on to the lead, not really see any threat. So it's been a disappointing away performance. And even with the introduction of the new substitutions in White and Gabriel Jesus, there's still a lack of options, really, because the midfield, there's no change going on in that. That is a problem area for me. So they're going to have to snap out of it if they want to snatch a result away.
Well, the ball is played long, looking for Kai Havertz, but it's dealt with by Dan Burn and finally played over the halfway line, which Thomas Partey takes possession of. But under the watchful eye of Bruno Guimaraes. Guimaraes is alleged to have fouled Thomas Partey. And also, Bukayo Saka now looks in a lot of trouble. He's down, he's back on his feet now, but he's moving very gingerly, and this is not what Mikel Arteta would want. And Saka just drops the ball back to Ben White, and you can see him moving there, Ethan. He's really struggling there, isn't he?
Yeah, and it's a nightmare scenario for Mikel Arteta. The injury crisis deepening, and he's one of the better players, one of the more dangerous players. He's just come back, of course, as well. So that's not something they want to see. Just a slight limp, and it's another element of their attack that they're losing.
It's Alexander Zinchenko. Zinchenko to Jesus. Back there to Zinchenko again. And across there to Saliba. Saliba now to Bukayo Saka, who just plays the ball short there to Nwanri. Nwanri just drops it back there to Ben White. And here's Saka again. And White, he tried to set off Nwanri on the way, but Nwanri did not read that. And it goes behind for a goal kick. As we have 15 minutes to go at St James's Park. Nick Pope is now down. And Havertz is questioning whether Nick Pope is wasting time. Nick Pope trying to explain to him that, no, I'm injured. We see this a lot in the game now, don't we? Players going down from winning on the sides of winning teams and wasting a lot of time in the second half. As the referees have kind of clamped down now on the slow goal kicks, the slow throw-ins, this is the next best option, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something that's coming throughout the game, and it's a bit of a disappointing thing to see from any perspective. I know Arsenal have been guilty of it themselves this season, Newcastle as well. Any team would be in a position in which they're leading an important match like this, but slowing the game down like this and wasting time, it's not something any fan really wants to see. Obviously, I'm saying this from a perspective not knowing if Nick Pope is actually injured, but yeah, it's just disappointing.
Well, he's being helped onto his feet now. And John Brooks also doing a couple of warm-ups. And finally, Nick Pope is going to be able to get the game back underway. And the referee having a word with him, making sure that he was actually injured and not up to gamesmanship. And finally, the ball, which is now the winter balls, Ethan, the yellow balls. We don't get a lot of you don't get a lot of snow in England, do you? You don't get much, and it's but the yellow ball's already in use this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been for quite a while that you've actually needed a ball of a different colour in this country, but it's another way of the Premier League to make money, really, isn't it? And it's another bit of marketing for them. So I'm sure everyone enjoys it, certain people.
Yeah, this is very true. The ball is played forward over the halfway line and goes all the way through to the goalkeeper, David Raya. Here's Zinchenko now for Arsenal. Plays the ball over to the left-hand side, and it's Gabriel Jesus. Jesus back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko lifts the ball forward. Oh, that's a good interception there by Fabian Schär, but it goes back there to Havertz. Havertz gets across in looking for Nwanri. It's over his head and cleared away by Joel Linton, but only as far as William Saliba gives the ball back to Gabriel, and it's left by Zinchenko for Gabriel, in fact. And back again with Gabriel. It's now with Zinchenko midway inside the Newcastle half of the field, and it's played down the left-hand side to Bukayo Saka. Saka back across to the number 5 there, Thomas Partey. And here's Gabriel down the left-hand side. It's Gabriel Jesus this time. Jesus looking for options left and right, but he has just been shut down like the rest of this Arsenal attack in this second half. Gabriel swings the ball in, and it's headed away there by Lewis Hall. Chasing this one down is Bukayo Saka, who's been in the wars today. And here is Ben White, plays the ball forward, but it's a poor one. Goes through to Lewis Hall, and he tries to set the ball away to Joel Linton. Joel Linton gives the ball there, has got the ball given away there on him. He wins the ball back, and here is Isak. Isak lifts the ball over the head of Gabriel Jesus, but it also escapes Livramento and goes out of play. and the throw-in is taken quickly. And Ethan, it's such scrappy stuff from Arsenal. They're just not able to keep possession at the moment, and any kind of time they get to the box. And here's Saka again. I'll get your thoughts in a moment. But the ball by Saka is a poor one. It's comfortably dealt with by Guimaraes. And I have to say, this is the way it's been for Arsenal in this second half, isn't it? They've just, any time they've got even remotely close to the 18-yard box, it's been given away. And there's another example of it.
Yeah, I mean, we said going into the second half that really Arsenal needed to build on the first and bring a little bit of quality into attacking areas. It's gone the other way, really. I think they've actually gotten worse, and Newcastle are just frustrating them. Perhaps that's the signs that are showing with this Arsenal attack now, just the pure frustration that they can't break down what's been a really solid Magpies back line. So, yeah, it's just not been the best performance from Arsenal in an attacking sense. It's not something that Mikel Arteta would have wanted to have seen.
No, they've missed the creativity of Odegaard. They've missed the general. They've just lacked the general creativity today that they've needed to unlock this Newcastle defence. And despite they've had 72% possession in the last 5 minutes, and they've just done nothing with the ball in the entire second half, really. And I think that's kind of the difference here that we're seeing. Newcastle, on the other hand, have defended very well. They've looked fantastic going forward, and they thoroughly deserve this 1-goal lead right now. As here's Lewis Hall, takes the throw in. Bruno Guimaraes just trying to keep possession of the ball. Nipping in is Bukayo Saka to wing the ball back, but he's fouled by Guimaraes, and it's going to be a free kick. Guimaraes not happy with that decision, but that is the decision that the referee has given. And this may be Arsenal's best way back, Ethan, is from a set-piece situation. Declan Rice going to take this free kick as Newcastle set a very high line. It's down the right-hand side. It's about 5 yards in from the touchline, and Newcastle have a line right on the edge of the D of their 18-yard box. And once again, Arsenal crowd about 5 players behind that front line, behind that line for Newcastle. And the cross is swung in, and it's a very poor free kick, but it breaks loose for Zinchenko, and it's back to Declan Rice and back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko plays the ball into the centre circle. Zinchenko gets the ball back, but boy, is he under pressure from Sean Longstaff. And the ball is played forward now to Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon holds the ball up, and he is dispossessed comfortably, though, that time by Gabriel. As Arsenal win the ball back. And with about 9 minutes to go, Ethan, I'm going to ask you for your player of the match in about 7 minutes, but with 9 minutes to go, Ethan, I don't see a way back for Arsenal.
No, I don't. It's like you said, one of the ways they'd be looking to get back into it is set pieces. We know it's a weapon for Arsenal, but it's just been so disappointing today. Declan Rice's deliveries, Bukayo Saka's deliveries, it's not been fantastic for them, and their plan B just isn't working. So if plan A and plan B aren't working, I mean, what else have they got really? It's going to be a tough final few minutes to see if they can get back into this one, but it's just been disappointing from them.
Well, here is Nwanri on the edge of the area, who just skips away. The ball drops back to Gabriel. Gabriel across to Jesus. Jesus tries to get to the byline and get the cross in. Jesus is beaten again down that left-hand side and cleared away by Anthony Gordon, only as far as Saliba, just inside the Newcastle half of the field. And here's Thomas Partey now as Arsenal trying to pile on the pressure, trying to get an equaliser. City and Liverpool both playing in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. And here's Nwanri. As Arsenal, if the result stays the same, will no doubt lose more ground. And Zinchenko swings the cross in towards the back post. And that header is just won there by Lewis Hall ahead of Bukayo Saka. And Ben White now has it, swings the cross in over everybody's head. But it's picked up by Zinchenko here on the back post at the corner of the 6-yard box. But it's, again, dispossessed this time by Tino Livramento. And once again, Newcastle trying to break away, and it's a free kick for a foul by Thomas Partey. Just to highlight the situation here, Ethan, Liverpool, of course, have their game today. They've got a home game against Brighton. Manchester City have to go to the seaside and take on Bournemouth. You'd expect both teams to win that game, wouldn't you, really? And that would be more ground lost.
Yeah, you would. I mean, it was a big result for Arsenal getting that draw against Liverpool in the crisis of injuries and scenario that they had last week. But they've kind of just let that all slip away. I mean, a win today would have brought them back into the race. They wouldn't have caught the teams yet, but they certainly would have been in a much better position. But losing ground here, and with both other sides, really, you'd expect them to win today. This is going to be a significant difference from the top two for them, and it's really disappointing at this early stage in the season to see them falling away like this.
Yes, well, the throw-in taken quickly. It's a long one, looking for Kai Havertz, but it looks like the referee is going to make him take it again. That was too quick. It's Ben White one more time, and throws it back there towards William Saliba. Saliba gives the ball to Zinchenko, who plays the ball down to Gabriel Jesus down the left-hand side. And it's now with Zinchenko again. And Ben White holding the ball up. He's got Bukayo Saka down the right-hand side. Lewis Hall in front of him. Can Bukayo Saka get to the bar? It's a decent cross by Saka. It goes through to Jesus. And Jesus, is he taken down there? There's no major appeal. And the ball goes out of play by Anthony Gordon. And, nothing in that one for me. Let's take a look at it again. I don't think there was much in there for me. Gabriel Jesus took it down well. He clattered with Gordon, but for me, there wasn't much in that.
No, I mean, Gordon's just got there first. He's won the ball, and Gabriel Jesus, has just had the impact from that challenge, really. But it's not a penalty from my perspective, and actually, it's very good defence from Gordon, who's done well on both an attacking and defensive end today.
Well, Harvey Barnes now coming on for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon going off, so that's the end of his afternoon. As we ticking down towards the final whistle, 85 minutes gone, and Harvey Barnes is on for Anthony Gordon, whose a superb cross delivered to Alexander Isak on that 12th minute goal. And you have to say he's been quite impressive today.
Yeah, he's been a crucial element for them on the counter-attack, really, finding that space down the right-hand side. The cross into the box for the goal was just absolutely brilliant from him, and he's put in a really, really good performance, perhaps rightly getting an applause at the end of this match and a little bit of a rest. He's a key player for Newcastle, and he's shown that today.
All right, well, we have 4 or 5 minutes still to go, and at the moment, I would argue, if Arsenal played till midnight, they wouldn't score playing like this. The balls coming into the box are not there. Thomas Partey has now just gone off, and Jorginho has come on, so maybe that will add a little bit more creativity. And that's the last roll of the dice. That's the 5th substitution, so the last roll of the dice for Mikel Arteta. As over on the far side there, he's trying to see who that is. He's been dispossessed anyway. And here's Gabriel, plays the ball forward, headed on, but not far enough there. And now here's an opportunity. The cross coming in towards the back post. There's Joel Linton with the header, and it's a comfortable save by David Raya. But once again, Newcastle getting a lot of luck down that right-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, they're making their own luck. Arsenal, for some reason, I think it's probably because they've had two very advanced left-backs, just aren't covering the space despite being exploited over and over again, and it's creating opportunities for the hosts.
Well, Nick Pope will just take his time, and he releases the ball to Tino Livramento. Livramento, the ball is played forward, and it goes out of play, and a throw into Newcastle. Harvey Barnes on now, of course, for Newcastle. It adds an extra element of attack, really. Having somebody like Harvey Barnes on, we know his capabilities, and fresh pair of legs might just snatch a second goal. Here's Kai Havertz for Arsenal. Havertz goes down. No free kick, of course. Nothing wrong with that. Here's Bruno Guimaraes. Guimaraes holding the ball up, and he gives it to Joel Linton, and Guimaraes is down. It's going to be a free kick, and at the next stoppage of play, yellow card here. In fact, to Jorginho, who's literally only been on a minute. And let's take a look at that challenge. Oh, it's a bit harsh to give a yellow card for that. Not sure I necessarily agree with that. I think Guimaraes buys that.
Yeah, there's a slight trailing arm from Jorginho, but it's not enough for a yellow card. Guimaraes definitely buys it. He wins the decision, and it's just a further example of how Newcastle are exploiting this match, and Arsenal just haven't really been on it today, and have also been a little bit unlucky at times.
Well, at the next stoppage of play, Ethan, I'm going to be asking you for your man of the match, as sponsored by Commentary Services. I'm sure by now you've probably narrowed it down to your choice. It's Kai Havertz heads the ball down, and it's Lewis Hall who hooks the ball in the air. It's brought down by Joel Linton, and he knocks the ball out of play. So, Ethan, why don't you tell everyone your man of the match today?
Yeah, there's a few options it could have been. I think particularly this Newcastle back line, all of them really deserve it. Lewis Hall needs a proper shout out, but I'm going to give it to Tino Livramento. He's been fantastic in the defensive end. He's really kept that left side of Arsenal quiet, but also he's gotten forward and supported Anthony Gordon. And being the defender in behind Gordon isn't an easy job when you've got such an advanced and special winger ahead of you, but he's made it look easy today. So Tino Livramento is my player of the match.
So today's man of the match, as sponsored by Commentary Services, goes to Newcastle's number 21, Tino Livramento. And we're ticking down the last few minutes here now. We're inside the last minute. Be interesting to see what stoppage time is being added on. As the ball is played down the right-hand side now to Bukayo Saka. Saka drops the ball back there to Jorginho. Jorginho tries to feed the ball through to Ben White, but it's just too far ahead of White, and it's cleared away by Dan Burn, and Newcastle once again breathe again thanks to their solid defence. It has just been like a wall today. Here's Gabriel. Gabriel drops the ball there to Declan Rice now. Let's see what Arsenal have got inside them in the last minute as we enter injury time. We have 5 minutes of stoppage time in this game, so it's going to be super interesting to see just how this all plays out. As Gabriel gives the ball there to Jesus, back to Gabriel. And William Saliba across to Ben White. Ben White to Kai Havertz. Havertz back to White. Oh, that's a really good ball to Nwanri. Nwanri skips away with a shot, and it's wide, but it was worth the effort by Nwanri because, frankly, there's been precious little efforts on goal in this game for Arsenal. And although it was well wide, it was really worth the effort, Ethan.
Yeah, well, at this point in the match, it's really just worth having a dig from an Arsenal perspective. Seeing, you never know, you could get a lucky deflection or a wonder goal. Really, it's going to take a moment of quality or a moment of luck. I don't think passing their way around has really worked for them for 90 minutes. So it's good from the youngster to finally be taking shots. Maybe he's going to encourage his fellow teammates as well to just have a few efforts at Pope late on.
Well, Nick Pope with the goal kick downfield. And the header is won by Jorginho. It bounces at the feet of Kai Havertz, who seems to have lost his bearings just for a second there. And here is Joel Linton. And it's going to be a free kick to Newcastle. Declan Rice can't believe that was given. We've had a minute and a half of the 5 minutes of stoppage time. And Lewis Hall is back on his feet. And it's going to be a free kick, which is played long and over everybody's head and out of play. And it's going to be a throw-in for Arsenal. Livramento, our player of the match. The television, TNT Sports, has given it to Lewis Hall. But Tino Livramento mentioned as well. And what a performance. I actually agree with you, Ethan, that I think Tino Livramento should be the player of the match. I thought he was absolutely outstanding all the way through. As here's Bukayo Saka back to Ben White. Ben White tries to play the ball, and Nwanri just trying to skip away here from Tonali. Nwanri, that's a good ball there to Gabriel. Gabriel finds Jesus now. Jesus back to Gabriel. And just looking for options left and right, but Arsenal are just being squeezed out here. Here's Ben White to Saliba. Saliba down the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka. Saka swings the ball in towards the back post, and there's a free header! Oh, what a chance for Declan Rice! Oh, that was the best chance in the entire match for Arsenal. It was a super ball in by Bukayo Saka, and it's really the first time that Arsenal have looked threatening and being able to get a good ball into that 6-yard box. And you have to say Declan Rice should have done better, Ethan.
Yeah, dearie me, I don't know how he's missed that. He's not got enough of a connection on it. He's away from his man. He's in behind Livramento. It's a great ball from Saka as well. It's almost akin to the Gordon one, just a different level of swing. And he's in at the back post. I'm not sure Pope could have done much with his reactions from that close. And I don't know how Declan Rice has put that wide. It really, really should be 1-1 here.
Well, there's 1.5 of Ant and Deck in the crowd. I'm not sure if it's Ant or Deck, as soon as though I don't really follow them. Nick Pope has got the yellow card for time wasting. So as Newcastle are going to bring on one more player, which is just for the last, I think this is more of a time wasting exercise as well. But it looks like they are going to bring on William Osula. Is it William Osula? Let's have a look. Gimaresh is going off anyway. And we're just trying to see. Oh, it's Kelly. So coming on for Newcastle is Lloyd Kelly, just to help see out this last minute of stoppage time. As Mikel Arteta looking on, just wondering now where Arsenal go from here, because if Liverpool and Manchester City win, they're going to make some distance between them and Arsenal. Villa have got a playing tomorrow, I think, against Spurs as well. So there's even a chance that Villa could set some distance between themselves and Arsenal. Here is Gabriel. Gabriel finds Ben White. White just plays the ball to Bukayo Saka now, as we have played almost a full 5 minutes at the end of this game. Here is White. White swings a decent cross in, but Pope comes out, makes a connection with a punch as far as Gabriel Jesus, and finally cleared away by Harvey Barnes, as we are just about all done here. The referee is going to blow the final whistle, I should think, very shortly indeed. We played the full 5 minutes. It's a beautiful ball to Bukayo Saka, though. Bukayo Saka cuts inside, swings across towards the back post, and Nick Pope comes out and collects that and falls on that ball. And that may well be that, as the Newcastle fans on their feet celebrating now. They feel the job is done. We're still waiting for John Brooks to see if he's going to blow his whistle, but the Newcastle fans certainly think the job is done, and it's cleared downfield by Nick Pope. And the referee still hasn't making any sort of sign that he's going to blow his whistle yet. And here is Ben White. Ben White, he's just inside his own half. He goes long, looking for Havertz, and Havertz is alleged to have fouled Dan Burn. He's furious. There is Kai Havertz, but it's a free kick nevertheless. And we've played an additional minute of stoppage time, as Havertz gets a yellow card for complaining there as well, and another rather silly yellow card given at this point. And you have to say, Ethan, it's I think it's curtains for Arsenal really now in terms of winning this game. But you do wonder what effect this is going to have on the title. And there it is. There's full time, and such a huge victory for Newcastle United today. A beautiful header from Alexander Isak, getting on the end of a beautiful cross, and it's enough to give Newcastle the 1-0 victory. Arsenal below par in the first half, much worse in the second half. It's been a very, very disappointing display from them. They now have to wait and see how Manchester City and Liverpool get on this afternoon. But Ethan, let's have your full-time assessment, please.
Yeah, it's a much needed and fantastic victory from a Newcastle perspective. We're seeing how much they're celebrating it. They did a great job on the counter-attack all day. They were fantastic in defence, and really they deserved this victory. Like you say, Arsenal was subpar. They really couldn't work opportunities and ultimately deserved the loss. It's not been a great period for Arsenal, and from a league perspective, Newcastle, this could turn their fortunes around. They could start to climb again. But from an Arsenal perspective, looking around them now, I think if Liverpool and City win, I might be wrong, but I think there's going to be a 7-point gap between them and the top two, Arsenal and the top two, apologies. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Villa around them as well, causing them all kinds of grief. So this is just a really disappointing loss from an Arsenal perspective, but a deserved one given their performance today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for your sterling job, Ethan. As always, you did a fantastic job, and I appreciate you doing the co-commentary today. I also want to thank the listeners. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to the game today. We really appreciate you spending your valuable time with us. It's full time here at St James's Park, and Newcastle may have dented Arsenal's title hopes. Bye for now.